Ladies and gentlemen, our fight tonight is a three-way battle between the marvelous Thunder from Down Under. We are talking about Nick, the Greek physique, Xanthopoulos.
Mm-hmm. Connor, can I ask you this same question but in a different way? I would like to answer obviously I'm not the host of the podcast where all three of us are, but I have a very interesting question in my mind, as in same client retention oriented. So what I was thinking is these clients, not everyone has, as Nick mentioned, not everyone has an access to weight, and still they haven't has an access. What about resistance band? It has become very famous nowadays. All those resistance band with those 20 pounds, 30 pounds, I think it maximum goes up to 50 pounds. That's the maximum resistance band I've seen. Where you can latch it onto the door and door hinge, and then you can like pull on it and do exercise. Have any of your clients got those, and how effective has it been?
Yeah, I think I've had a few of them had that, and it's definitely been handy. I think you, again, just like
I
Nick's mentioning, you work on a needs analysis. You work on, okay, what do you have? And then you might have like a hierarchy in terms of what's bad, okay, good, better, best. And often like what's best is a lot more expensive, not practical. There isn't room in the house for, a bunch of different machines and all the like.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention,
one's
if you
gonna
train mums that have like kids and shit, like that adds resistance, man. Like they jump on your back while you're trying to do shit.
True.
It's actually, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So there's been a few people that have had bands, and definitely can be handy. I've had a lot of people, to be honest, just have nothing, and we've still been able to find ways to. Again, you look at the situation. Do you want to maintain? Do you want to progress? And you can find ways to progress. So I've had people sending the checking pictures, and they look just as good, if not better than before. You just got to choose the right stimulus. So if you I think here's sometimes the issue if you label yourself under a particular category. You might label yourself as a powerlifter, for example, but like Nick's mentioning, sometimes there's benefits to doing things that will potentiate you in the future. With at-home stuff, I mean, there's some exercises that are really hard to do for one rep, like a pistol squat, for example, with basically like a one-legged squat is really hard to do in like, the 1 to 3 rep range. That could be like more neural strength heavy work. Yet just like two-legged, squat you could do for 50 reps. Overall, on the whole, for most people, particularly where my clients' usual strength level is, it's definitely been more the metabolic side of things. So a lot of our emphasis has been, working really close to not just your psychological value, but you generally can't move it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of metabolite style training. There's certain implications there, food uptake and stuff like that as well. So again, but there have been people as well that have had all these other different kind of things, and bands can be one of them. So bands provide particular benefits to particular exercises that are really good. Other ones doesn't fit so much. So I know for certain people it's been handy for face pulls. It might be handy to matching the strength curve like a tricep extension. For rows, you might find, for example, it feels really heavy at the back in the contracted position, but it feels really easy at the bottom. So when you come to the gym, if you spend more time overloading the lengthened position, the stretch out position, you'll get more gains there because it's detrained versus the back position is more or less trained essentially. So again, you kind of find the little gaps in people's training. So, I've employed different tempos. There's been more rest period control things. There's been a lot of isometrics. There's been a lot of few like different things that might seem outside the 3 sets of 8, 2, 0, 1, 0 tempo, rest 3 minutes. You need to look outside that, because if you're like, oh, I'm used to doing 3 sets of 8 with a squat, and now you just got your body weight, I'm sorry, 3 sets of 8 isn't going to cut it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If you are trying to progress, I think the first thing, you really need to get that relative intensity that we talked about last week high enough. And definitely metabolite training when you're not used to it, often your mind can fail before your body. But yeah, you just got to really get after it. So a little bit of programming differences. Like I mentioned, with this, just the functionality, you can't move from bench press to a squat to a pull down. You've got to do 1, 2, 3, separately. So there's been different implications, but whatever clients have got, we've really used. I've used like tables just for inverted rows. I've got like a few people do a few different
Have
things.
any of your clients lifted that couch? They call it the couch workout, where they're lifting the couch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I mean, people have been doing it here. Where you slide under your couch and then just lift it with your chest, and then that's your chest press from the couch. And
Yeah,
at
it's like a
that,
floor press. Yeah.
right. That sounds very
Yeah.
dangerous. What if the couch falls on you, and you lose what you're not supposed to lose? And But I mean, like, people have been doing it. It's been trending home workout, and also has
Yeah.
been trending all those bands giving out on people, where they
Mm.
put it on the door hinge, and then they're doing a
Oh.
tricep extension on the back, and whack, it's on your back. It's like a wedgie, a quick wedgie to your neck.
Yeah.
It hurts. Like, I've seen doors fall on people. Like, it's been it's been intense. I've seen those videos, and I feel like the bands are, as Connor, you mentioned, a lot of people has got a hold of the band. The bands are very good up to a certain limit when you're doing it safely and when you're secure, and you test it out on an elephant, or else you're just gonna get hurt. Like, if you do it in stupid ways, and you're gonna get hurt. Especially, not to mention those extendable door chin-up bars, which
Yeah.
which you just
Oh,
like
no.
on
Yeah.
those both sides, and you try to chin up with it. It never works. I mean, I've seen
Yeah, I've
most
never
of the
seen
people
that work.
seen the people fall, but there are versions of it. This is for those who are really looking into buying gym equipments. Now we are
Mhm.
moving slowly on to what equipments to buy and stuff like that. I've seen chin up bars, like ones that has a hook and that ledges onto the top part of your door. You guys know what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah, I
I think
do.
that I
Yeah.
think is more secure because it creates a fulcrum. That's again a physics term because I'm a big nerd. Creates a
Yeah.
fulcrum and then distributes your force. So you have less chance of a failure in that case because the hooks actually hook onto the door. Even if those hinges on both sides give away, you'll still stay hooked on. So, with that, introducing that thing, I would like to know from you guys what has the land from down under been up to in regards to what equipments to buy. What have you give us a view of what have you guys have brought because Nick has hoarded, as I see, gym equipments and and weights, and some of Connor's gym equipments have arrived and broken off, and
Yeah.
that's a sad story. But what are you guys recommending in terms of availability in the current market? Obviously, there's a lot of stuff available, and there's a lot of stuff not available. Like, you guys have never heard of Peloton and stuff like that. I don't know which age you're in, probably the Stone Age, but. I mean, like, in case of availability, what equipments do you have, and what is generally available to a public? I mean, a public who generally goes to the gym twice or thrice every week, or maybe 4 times every week, and who's just maintaining general well-being and health. What do you guys reckon? Was that a good question?
It was a great
Well,
question.
yeah, like I think you started off by saying it right. Like you got to buy what's available. So that's the main thing. You can only get what's available. But I presume most people have resistance bands, like we were just talking about, and like kind of like you agree. Like if you have a resistance band, like okay, like there's still a lot of shit you can do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of good things you can do with that too. A lot of creative, exercise that you probably thought you didn't even know you could do. Like, Connor, I'll be honest, like, I don't reckon many people would have honestly figured out the lying leg curl that you were, like, doing with the bands and stuff like that, especially, like, trying to, like, even, like, yeah, it's an exercise that we see people do, but, like, literally, like, doing it like that, executing it in such a way, people probably wouldn't even realize you can do that. People probably wouldn't even realize you can do leg extensions with the damn band as well, so, like if you have access to a band, there's more you can do. Like when I say a band, I mean just like the traditional like red mini ones.
And a good quality one.
Yeah, and a good quality one. Like there's more you can do other than just attaching it to machines or just doing like simple band pull aparts or something like that. Like there's so much more you can do with that. So if you have one, like okay, good. Speak to someone that has
Get in touch with Nick and
wide,
Connor.
But if you have like a huge exercise library, with that, like just only that piece of equipment, but if you're a trainer that has a huge exercise library with a band, fuck, great, right? But then, if they have also access to, dumbbells and like a range of dumbbells, let's say they've got, 6 kilos, 8 kilos, and maybe like 12 or something like that. You can play with different rep ranges at that point too, which is a good thing. But you can also use, banded exercises and obviously progress with the dumbbells and things like. So there's so many different things you can do, but if especially if dumbbells and bands are all that you have, when you start having access to like barbells and stuff like that, like at home, like to be honest,
5 kilo ones.
there fucking is no. Frantic, shut the fuck up. All right, let the man speak. All right. At that point, literally, it like there's no excuse that there is so much you can do. There is so much shit that you can do. And Conor, do you agree on that? Like, especially when you have access to basically those type of like that equipment, like there's a lot. You agree that there's a lot you can do?
It helps, yeah. It does, yeah.
And that's the thing, and we want people to understand that, like, especially when if you're kind of looking back now and thinking, oh, I wish I did something during COVID. Well, just know if something like this was to happen again, there is, and the question is, like, to be honest, fucking speak to Conor and Nick because we can help you. All right. But yeah, so in like back on the question, like, do people need to buy equipment? Do people need to go out and spend $1,000, $2,000 on a piece of equipment? Well, for starters, depends who you are. But if you're a powerlifter, you might want to spend some money. But if you're just your gen pop person and you got access to a good array of dumbbells at home, maybe some resistance bands, there's a lot you can do with that. All right, and it's probably worth going through certain phases at home before going back into the gym and really tackling other aspects of training. So that's basically my input on it. But yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that small clip from the Forge Intelligence podcast. If you want to check out the full episode along with a lot more content, go to our channel. If you like the video, like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for listening.